Hello and welcome back to Alonesy. In this episode, we'll be continuing the joy of extra-dimensional spaces from the Candlekeep mysteries, or at least our version of it. Last we left off, we entered the extra-dimensional space of Fistandia and met Cumin and Coriander, the two, and some cats, I guess, the beings that live in this space. We have gotten 2 books so far, and we need to explore the rest of the mansion and find Matreus before we can leave. Also, some continuity adjustments from our last session. I'm looking at the map right now, and I know this is audio only, but we had a short rest last time, and I would like to sort of retcon that to say that we did it in the dining room and not the kitchen, because I don't think I specifically said that when Cumin and Coriander started feeding us the soup. But yes, we are currently in the next room to the kitchen, which is the dining room. All right, what else? And I guess that's it for the edits. The last thing we heard, or at least we discussed, was Fistandia and Freya, the ones who created Cumin and Coriander, are still alive. They realize that they must still be alive because the homunculi would be dead if their creators are dead. So that was the last thing that our party realized before we ended last episode. And now we continue from where we left off. Nax, while wiping his spectacles and looking at the 2 books that they have acquired on the table, says, "Right, so we have an I and an R. Fistandia's notes mention 7 books in total to spell out the exit word. We're still 5 letters short of a coherent sentence, and honestly, 5 letters short of ever seeing Waterdeep again." Caelum stands up as well, making sure everything's in order, says, "Which means we stop resting and start moving. If the owner is still alive somewhere, we're essentially breaking and entering. Let's find Matreus and the rest of those books before she realizes that there are intruders in her house." And Celestine says, "Well, it doesn't seem like she's not expecting visitors from the letter or the book that we just read. But yes," she looks towards the doors. The little one said they don't really go upstairs because it's not their territory. And if Matreus isn't on this floor, well, he might be up there. But we should finish checking this wing first. I don't want to leave anything behind, or I don't want anything sneaking up on us." And Caelum says, "Agreed. Let's clear the floor first. Let's go." And as they prepare to leave the dining room, Cumin and Coriander are busy clearing the table, their tiny wings fluttering as they stack the bowls. And Caelum stands first. He gives the room one final sweep to ensure that they didn't leave anything behind. And Nax is looking much more composed after the meal. And Celestine sort of just lingers a little bit, kind of looking thoughtful. And as they all push back from the dark wooden table to head towards the rest of the wing to explore the rest of the first level, I would like for everyone to make a perception check. Ooh. And since I only have 2 sets... Oh wait, I have 3 sets of dice now. Hang on. Yes, I got this little one. I didn't actually know it was smaller than a usual die, but it's small, so I guess it's gonna be my travel die. So they all have their assigned dice. Oh, fun. Enjoy this sound. Oh god. Oh gosh. Okay. So Celestine gets 16 plus 2, 18. Caelum gets 19 plus... What does he add? Perception. Plus 4. Okay. 19 plus 4. 23. And Nax gets a 2. A natural 2. But he has high wisdom. Let's see. Let me see. He has his own sheet. Oh no. He has high intelligence, not wisdom. He has 0 perception. Okay, so Nax has 2. While Caelum and Celestine, they both pass. Alright. Let us resolve this. Because while Celestine and Caelum notice that there's an odd number of chairs for this 6, supposedly a table for 6, a rectangular table for 6, and there's a 7th chair pushed into the corner near the kitchen door. It's something about it doesn't look quite right. And since Nax still slightly, like carefree because of their short rest, and he is a little bit relaxed, and possibly this catches him off guard, he decides to be helpful by pushing this particular chair back into its supposed quote-unquote proper place, even if it's a 7th chair. And as he says, "Oh, a place. There's a place for everything. Everything should be in its proper place." And as he reaches for this chair closest to the kitchen door to tuck it in or to look for its proper place, the wood, he notices that as he touches it, the wood of the chair doesn't feel like wood. It feels cold. And the chair ripples. The matched scarlet cushion splits open like a jagged, multi-toothed maw, and the front legs of the chair suddenly lengthen into thick, ropey pseudopods. It is a mimic, and the mimic attacks. This mimic was effectively motionless and disguised, so it will, sure, let's give it advantage on initiative rolls. Only Nax is completely surprised by this, though, so, but yeah, let's do that. I haven't been doing proper initiative rolls lately, so let's do an initiative roll right now. Again, let's do the mimics first. Okay, initiative with advantage for the mimic. Ooh, wow, that is a 4 and a 2 on the die. What's the stats of this mimic? Hang on. Okay, so it has a +1 dex, so it has 5 initiative. Okay, and then for our trio, don't fall. Ooh, we got a nat 1. We got a 9 for Celestine. That will be +2, so 11 for Celestine. Nat 1 for Nax, which is so apt because he doesn't have any modifiers to dexterity. Wait, let me double check. Dexter initiative. Oh, he does. +2. Okay. Well, let's a 3 for Nax, still going after the mimic, and then a 17 + 0 to Caelum, but he still goes first. So our order is Caelum, Celestine, the mimic, and the Nax. Oh, which is exactly what I would have done if I used my system of narrative initiative. If, initiative that will just make sense story-wise or situation-wise. So that's nice that the dice agrees with me. So only Nax is caught by surprise here. And this mimic, according to the book, we're doing rules as written, it is weakened because it has only been able to ambush the occasional cat or fairy dragon. It only has 30 points, and the DC to escape its grapple is 10. So Nax is currently grappled. Nax is currently grappled, I guess? Or will it grapple him? Oh, no, it hasn't grappled him yet. Okay, it's one of its actions. Wait. Oh, it is. Okay, a huge or smaller creature adhered to the mimic is also grappled by it. Ability checks made to escape this grapple have disadvantage. Okay, so Nax is grappled because he touched it. Okay. And we begin combat. Oh, this is the earliest combat we've had for an episode. Okay, let us start. Sometimes I wonder if I should just summarize short encounters like this, like do them quickly and then just give a narrative summary. I'll think about it if these short encounters prove to be too lengthy, or maybe in certain modules or adventures it might be. But for now, we will go through the motions. All right, Caelum. He draws his blade and tries to attack this mimic in the simplest way possible. He's just going to make a regular attack roll. He refuses to let Nax be eaten by a chair. Okay, where's my dice? Ooh, that is a 14. +4 is 18, which definitely hits the AC of 12. And he will roll 1d8 of slashing damage. Where's my d8? God, now that I have more dice, I'm getting confused. I should organize them. Here, I found it. Now it's stuck. Ooh, 6. That is 6 damage to the mimic. So he slashes into this animated chair, all the while trying to avoid Nax, so he doesn't accidentally hit him with his sword. So his sword slices into the chair's backrest, which yields not like wood, but like a muscle, and it carves a dent through the supposed upholstery part of it. It is 6 slashing damage. Okay, 30 minus 6. The mimic lets out a dry, rasping hiss as it ripples under the strike. Its adhesive grip on Nax shuddering but holding firm. Now it is Celestine's turn. She goes to cast Mage Hand to try to help Nax separate himself from the chair. So that is the spell that she will cast. And unfortunately, we cannot cast True Strike anymore, but she does move forward, aside from the Mage Hand, to just slash at it with one of her daggers. So just one. Right. That is +3 to hit because I do not have True Strike. Okay. Ooh, didn't need it. 19 plus 3. That totally hits. And we roll 1d4 per. Okay, that's not a lot. 1d4 plus 1 piercing damage. 1d4. Where is my d4? Which one is it? Oh, the triangle one. Okay. 3. That is 3 plus 1 piercing damage. So 4 piercing damage. Great. And as this happens, the mage hand that Celestine has conjured with its spectral, shimmering form goes to Nax, and how does it help him? Maybe tries to hold the chair, or no, hold on to his foot or his robes to sort of anchor him so that he has more of a sturdy, center of gravity once he does start to try to escape the grapple of this mimic chair. But now it's the mimic chair's turn, and since it is currently stuck to Nax, it will do its pseudopod, a melee weapon attack. It has a +5 to hit. Oh boy, Nax doesn't have a lot of hit points. Alright, let's roll the dice. That is a 13 plus 5, 18. Nax has a 12 AC, so that definitely hits. And it is 1d8 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. Holy shit, is he gonna die? 1d8 plus 3. Okay, 1d8. Now, Nax is already adhered to it, so this extra sentence doesn't really apply, which says if the mimic is an object form, the target is subjected to its adhesive trait. So it's just gonna be a regular damage roll. That is a 5 plus 3, 8. And Nax goes down. He is at 0, unconscious currently. Damn! Now I wonder if the being that is currently stuck to the mimic, if this person goes down, will it still be adhered to it? I'm gonna say it probably will still be there because being unconscious doesn't make you unstuck. So, well, that's just, it's supposed to be Nax's turn, so he's gonna make a death saving throw. Oh god. Poor Nax, our first guest character, I guess, in the adventures. Right, we just want something above a 10. Great, that's a 12. Okay, he succeeds his first death saving throw. As soon as he goes down, Caelum says, Nax, Celestine, get to him, he's down. Celestine's eyes widen with alarm, and her priorities change. She does have some more healing capabilities, healing cantrips and stuff, more than Caelum, so this is their division of tasks right now. Caelum will try to down this mimic, and she will try to save Nax. And for a moment, Nax isn't in the extra-dimensional mansion. He's back in the sun-drenched scriptorium of the Candlekeep, the air thick with the scent of books and candles. And this memory acts like an anchor for him. His lungs hitch, taking in a ragged, shallow breath, as he refuses to go down this easy. He may be level 1, he has quite a strong will and constitution and refuses to give up, as most scholars do. Okay, so he succeeds his first death saving throw. Oh no! I realized I made a mistake because Caelum did attack with his longsword, right? And it has sap. And the mimic was supposed to have a disadvantage on its attack, so Nax didn't have to go down. Maybe. Who knows? Possibly. Okay, so we'll just have to apply that in its next attack. Forgot. Oh god, these added effects of the weapons are so confusing. I need to have like a summary of them in front of me so I don't keep forgetting. Okay, anyway. Caelum, it is your turn. I tend to be very stingy with Caelum's spells because he only has 2 spell slots, but then again, Nax is currently unconscious. So he will use the command spell. You speak a one-word command to a creature you can see within range. The target must succeed in a wisdom saving throw or follow the command in its next turn. And he will do the drop one. So he wants it to drop Nax. And seeing as we did forget the disadvantage for the attack roll of the mimic chair, we'll use it right now. It will have a disadvantage on its wisdom saving throw. I think that's alright. Okay. It has a +1 to wisdom. That is a 9 and a 10, so we will take the 9 plus 1, that is 10, and it doesn't meet the 12 spell save DC for Caelum. So on its turn, the Mimic will drop whatever it is holding and will end its turn. Okay, so great. So, but next is Celestine. Oh, Caelum still has a bonus action, so he will bonus action lay on hands next. I think he can do that as a bonus action. Oh, actually, let's narrate what happens first. So Caelum, his voice is sharp and clear and ringing with authoritative weight, and he says, Celestine, get your mage hand ready to pull Nax whenever that thing drops it. and he focuses on the mimic, tries to ignore Nax's unconscious body, and the air around him thrums with authority as he casts command, and with a booming voice he says, "Let him go." Or, maybe one word is more impactful. Like talking to a dog, say, drop it." Maybe something like that. Okay. And the mimic suddenly stops moving as it processes this command. So before that, Nax is unconscious currently. So Caelum will lay on hands with... How much does he have? Did we use lay on hands or healing word a while ago? I will review that. But he will lay on hands just 1 point for Nax, just to get him not to make death saving throws anymore. So what happens is, as soon as he issues the command word to the mimic, he focuses on Nax, and still glowing with that authoritative aura, his voice is sort of still affected by that command spell and says, "Nax, look at me." And that shakes Nax awake. He presses his hands against Nax's shoulder, and a spark of 1 HP pulls into the wizard. Okay, he is no longer unconscious. He gasps as he rushes back into this room with the mimic still nearby and his glasses thrown about. He still adhered to the mimic, by the way, because it's still not the mimic's turn. And because Lay on Hands is a touch spell and Caelum had to touch Nax to heal him, he is also now adhered to, I guess, Nax? Let me see. Yeah, I guess. Whatever. It's gonna drop them anyway in its turn. So I reviewed the previous episode, and Caelum did 3 HP lay on hands on Nax while they were in the library in that part. So he now has 6 HP left on his lay on hands pool. Okay, let's get back into it. Celestine, what do you do? I was recording that whole time and I was on mute and I already made the dice roll, so trust me, I'm not fudging the rolls. I'm not lying. Okay, I'll just narrate what happened and then we'll continue. So, what was I saying for the first part? Okay, as Celestine sees Caelum help Nax, but also gets stuck to him because of the adherence property of this mimic chair, she says, "Caelum, what were you thinking? Now you're also stuck." And she tries her best to avoid the sticky zone, so to speak. So she moves to cast Chromatic Orb with fire damage, and she rolled a 6, and she has a +6 charisma, which is her spell attack. And that is a 12, which exactly hits the mimic chair. And I rolled 3d8. That was a 6 + 2 + 5, which is a 14, right? 6 + 5 is 11. Oh, 13, sorry. 13 damage. So let me just record that. That's the recording that... Then I realized my mic was accidentally muted. Okay, so we'll carry on. As she casts this fire chromatic orb, it streaks past Caelum's shoulder, narrowly missing him, and the mimic shrieks, a dry wood splitting sound as its surface chars and blackens. It ripples violently as its health is down to just 7. Ooh. Now it is the mimic's turn, and because of the command spell from Caelum's previous turn, its violent instincts are being suppressed, and the chair follows Caelum's command of drop, let him go, drop it, whatever, those things. And its sort of muscly mouth, the part of that like cushion part of the chair, relaxes, and the translucent sticky sap that makes the adhesive bond turns into watery runoff. So it drops Nax and its grip on Caelum as well. So they're all released, and it ends its turn as per the spell's effect. So Nax and Caelum tumble back from this piece of hissing furniture and are no longer grappled. Okay, it is now Nax's turn at 1 hit point. Oh, I could have bonus action something from Celestine, but it's too late now. The mimic's turn is done. Oh well. I am just now looking at Nax's spell list, and he had shield all this time. Or mage armor, forgot. Anyway, he will now just cast a cantrip of Firebolt, which is a +5, to follow up. He's inspired by the fire chromatic orb that was cast by Celestine. So now he will cast Firebolt. +10. Oh, sorry, no, +5. What is that? That is a 19 + 5, 24. That definitely hits. He gets a 1d10 fire damage. D10, D10, D10. Okay, D10. That is a 2. Whoops. Okay, well, he deals 2 fire damage to the mimic. Great. Again, Nax is a scholar, so the fact that he hit and has contributed something to the fight makes him proud of himself, as he should be. And now the mimic lets out another dry shriek as it is down to 5 points of HP. Caelum, it is his turn again, and he's no longer grappled. Caelum knows that Nax is still very injured. He is at 1 HP still. But he thinks that this mimic is close to being defeated. So he moves to cast Sacred Flame. Flame-like radiance descends on a creature that you can see within range. The target must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d8 radiant damage. Okay, so dexterity, it has to be what's the saving throw modify? Oh shit, did I get a paper cut? His spell save DC is 12. Okay. Ooh, okay. This chair has a +1 to dex. 8. Ooh, 9. Okay, that misses. So he deals 1d8 radiant damage. D8. 3. Okay, well, that is so close. So this sacred flame descends on the mimic chair that is already scorched by the fire damage that it has received. And it, as a result, tries to move away from this fire-looking thing as well as seeing as it was hurt by fire. But it fails its dexterity saving throw, and it doesn't move away in time as this radiant energy burns through it. And now it is down to 2 HP. It is now Celestine's turn, and she just, this chair is on its last legs, pun intended, so she's just gonna cast True Strike on herself and use her daggers to hit it. She knows that this chair will be taken care of soon, and Nax, we can give Nax the proper medical attention that he needs, so +6 to True Strike. That is a 13 plus 6, 19. That definitely hits. And it is a 1d4 plus 1 piercing damage, so either way, it will die. So, like, d4. Let's do the little one. Little d4. And it got stuck because it's not heavy enough. 1. Well, that's all we needed. So 1 plus 1 equals 2, which is the last hits of this mimic. So Celestine just slashes with her dagger at the mimic's last, I guess literally, let's make it a last leg, or at the cushion at least. And with this last hit, the mimic lets out one final airy wheeze, and it's just now a blackened smoking heap of a chair, and it dissolves into a gray ashen pile that stains the hardwood floor. They immediately turn their attention to Nax, Caelum says as he kneels down. Nax, stay down for a moment. Celestine, check the kitchen. See if cumin and coriander are okay. We can help them clean this place up and explain to them what happened. And Nax coughs as he pushes looks for his glasses and puts them back on. He says, I'm quite alright, Caelum. Merely an unexpected lesson in the other applications of magic that I'm used to. And Celestine tries to look for cumin and coriander. She pushes through the swinging doors into the kitchen. So there is a door that connects the kitchen to the dining room. And the room is a whirlwind of activity as usual, but not the combat kind. Cumin is hovering near the prep table, and coriander is preparing a batch of dough. And Celestine, sort of still breathless, says, "Are you two okay? There was a chair. It tried to eat Nax." And both of the homunculi freeze. Cumin drops the spoon and zips towards Celestine, his leathery wings speeding a mile a minute. And he says, "The chair? Oh dear. Oh, the Lady Fistania will be so disappointed." And Coriander flutters up more slowly, crossing his tiny arms with a look of, "I told you so." He says, "I suspected as much. That specimen always had a poor attitude about the seating arrangements. I told you, Cumin. Cedar is much more reliable for guests." And Celestine blinks in surprise at their lack of fear. She says, "You knew who was there? It nearly killed our friend." Cumin wrings his hands, looking physically pained by the lack of hospitality that they have exhibited. He says, "We are so terribly sorry. We are forbidden from the specimen wing downstairs, and sometimes the artifacts wander. Please bring the scholar in here. We have more soup. Soup is the best remedy." And Coriander already is reaching for a mop with a sigh. "I suppose we'll have to clear the ash. Lady Vestania hates a messy dining room." Despite the previous chaos, the homunculi seems entirely focused on restoring the dining room to its previous condition. So they're not even scared of the mimics. They're embarrassed that a specimen ruined the service and their hospitality. And I'm actually just gonna do a little rule bending here, since they didn't really benefit from the short rest a while ago because they were in full hit points. I'm gonna have them do another very quick one. So Caelum helps Nax to his feet and guides him towards the swinging doors of the kitchen. The air inside is a thick, fragrant cloud of soup, the scent of soup, and simmering herbs, a sharp contrast to the smell of the burnt mimic still clinging to Nax's robes. And Cumin zips around. Sit, Master Scholar, you look frazzled. Please, this is the Lady Festandia's emergency consomme. It's designed for getting you back to your feet. And Coriander places a fresh, steaming loaf of bread on the table. Please eat some more bread. The vitamins are in the jar, so eat the crust. We'll keep watch at the door. No more chairs will be permitted to misbehave while you're dining. And Caelum tells Nax, take 10 minutes. We aren't moving until you look less like a pile of scrap brass. And Nax will roll, let's just do his hit dice. So what he would have rolled for a short rest, which is a 1d6, which is not a lot, but he doesn't really have a lot of hit points. So if we rolled 6, he's at like 7 out of 8. We rolled a 4, so he regains 4 hit points, and now he has 5 out of 8 hit points. Let me just write that down. See, I knew this was a level 1 quest, and I had 2 level 2 characters, so adding a level 1 character in to protect and to sort of babysit is definitely the challenge that this type of quest needs. I could have maybe, if I just kept to the level of my party, I could have probably added more HP to the monsters, to the encounters, or modified the encounters entirely to have a higher CR rating monster. But I think this is fun. We get to hang out with a scholar from Candlekeep. So they let Nax recover for around 10 minutes in the warm sanctuary of the kitchen under the anxious eyes of Cumin and Coriander. And eventually Nax finishes a second bowl of his emergency consomme. The magical soup, or I guess the consomme, nourishes him, and soon he is just about ready to pick up where they left off. He feels the vitality returning to his limbs, so he's still not at full health, but 6 out of 8, that's fine. And Caelum stands up, saying, you look much better, Nax. We only have one more door to check in this wing before we see what's upstairs. Hopefully we wouldn't need to explore the basement. I would assume the specimens the two were referring to came from somewhere down there. But let's see. And Celestine also stands up and says, yep, ready to go. Let's see what's behind that last door. And hopefully no more mimics this time. Keep an eye out for any strange furniture, okay? And next, just don't go touching anything that you're not sure about, please. And the 3 of them leave the kitchen and the dining room. They do pass by the dining room as they leave, though. They see that the gray ashen pile of what was once the mimic is already being swept up by the animated broom that has wandered in. And they continue down the hallway to the far eastern end and push through the set of double doors as they step into the arboretum. Let me just double check if I'm saying that correctly. Well, apparently not. Okay, it's arboretum. Arboretum. Okay, sure. So as they step inside the arboretum, I can't say that now without laughing. The transition is quite jarring because after the heavy cedar and stone of the mansion, they step into a space that feels like it belongs under the open sky. The building ends here in a series of open arched walls that look out into the swirling indigo miasma of the extra-dimensional void. This quote-unquote room is filled with lush flowering shrubs and small trees arranged along paved paths that meet at a semicircular patio. There is no sun, but the area is bathed in a warm artificial glow from 2 glowing globes hovering near the ceiling, and the air is thick and sweet with the perfume of thousands of colorful blossoms. And Celestine takes a deep breath. She says, "It's beautiful. Festandia must have come here when the books became too much." And Nax also is quite curious about this arboretum. Remarkable, he says. A self-sustaining ecosystem within a pocket dimension. Though, technically, the humidity levels required for these specific orchids, and then he's cut off by a sound. From somewhere among the leafy branches of a decorative pear tree, they hear a faint, high-pitched giggling. Caelum, now just always on his guard, is ready for another animated furniture of some sort, his hands dropping instantly to the hilt of his blade. Something is in the trees, he says, and I would like everyone to give me a perception check. 3 dice for each of them. Okay, one got stuck. Oh, that is 2 for Nax, 11 for Caelum, and 9. Oh wait, those are the numbers on the dice. Let me check their modifiers. So for Nax, his perception, okay, is 2 plus 0, so he's still at 2. Caelum's perception is a plus 4, so that is a 15 for Caelum. And Celestine has 2, so 11, 11, 11, and 15. So 2, 11, 15. So Caelum's eyes instantly tracks upward. He says, Celestine, stay sharp. There's something moving in the branches. We've got company. And Celestine nods, her eyes narrowing as she scans the surroundings. I see them, or I see where they were. There's a shimmer in the pear tree, something small. Nax wipes his glasses and tries to look at where they're looking. He's slightly oblivious to the movement. He says, shimmers? I don't see anything but a remarkably well-preserved specimen of orchid, though I must say, it's almost a shame we can't stay to catalog. And then a high-pitched melodic giggle erupts from the leaves directly above Nax. And before he can finish his sentence, 2 small orange shapes flicker into visibility. They are tiny dragons with butterfly-like wings and wide, mischievous eyes. They swoop down in a blur of orange light. One of them hovers inches from Nax's snout and exhales a puff of shimmering iridescent vapor, a euphoria breath. And I will have Nax make a wisdom saving throw. Ooh, that is a 13 plus his wisdom, which is a 0. Oh, no, a saving throw is a plus 2. So 13 saves, but 15, well, that definitely saves. And he is spared the fate of just laughing incessantly. He blinks as the mist hits him, a look of pure surprise in his face. Is that cinnamon? He resists the magical haze, his focus remaining as sharp as a quill. Now he is being circled by 2 very bored, very giggly tiny dragons, who are somersaulting through the air and chirping with delight at having finally found someone to play with. They don't seem to be hostile. They just seem bored and happy to have someone new to play with that are not the cats and cumin and coriander. And they seem absolutely delighted that Nax didn't just collapse into a fit of laughter, chirping to each other in a series of clicks and whistles that sound remarkably like gossip. Nax adjusts his robes and puffs out his chest slightly, his golden eyes sparkling with an academic's delight at meeting, well, distant relatives. It seems the local fauna possess a sophisticated linguistic capacity. I shall attempt a formal greeting, I suppose. It is only polite, given our shared, albeit distant, heritage. He clears his throat, and the brass scales of his neck vibrates as he addresses the tiny dragons, switching from common to the harsh, sibilant tones of Draconic. And he says, in Draconic, greetings, little cousins. I am Nax of Candlekeep. We are guests of the Lady Vistania, or at least we are here on business regarding her property. And the 2 dragons freeze mid-somersault. They look at each other, their orange scales shimmering, and then dive-bomb Nax. But they don't attack, they just land right on his shoulders and horns, and their tiny claws gripping his robes as they begin talking over each other so fast it's nearly impossible to follow. They speak in high squeaky voices. They alternate between common and draconic, and introduce themselves as Pip and Vesper. They say, a big one, a big dragon with spectacles. Do you have snacks? The cats are mean. They have claws, but no jokes. Why's the lady been gone so long? Is it a game? Are we winning? Tell us a joke, big dragon Nax. And now they are desperately affectionate. Celestine sees them practically, nesting on Nax's horns on his shoulder. And as this happens, Caelum maintains a steady watch, and his eyes drifts upward, tracking the 2 golden spheres hovering near the arches. And he says, Celestine, if they aren't trying to eat us, see if you can keep them busy. I'm looking at those globes. If we're heading into the basement eventually, we might be in need of some light. Maybe we can borrow one of these. And within the humid blossom-heavy air of the arboretum, the tension of the mimic fight dissolves into a chaotic, high-pitched reunion. Nax's formal draconic greeting works like a charm, and Pip and Vesper abandon their invisibility to swarm Nax, chirping rapidly about the mean cats. And Celestine just watches with a soft smile as the tiny dragons treat Nax like a jungle gym. Caelum says, it seems you've found some distant cousins, Nax. And while the dragons are distracted by Nax's questions, Celestine steps in to help calm their frantic energy, her gentle nature keeping the pranksters from reverting to their euphoria breath games. And once they have gathered what information they can about the masters being away, they realize that the Arboretum, beautiful as it is a dead end at the eastern edge of the mansion, both physically, location wise, and for information, as these dragons are really just in need of affection and attention, and they miss Fistandia. Caelum says, "We've seen everything in this wing. Let's head back to the main hall." And with a final squeaky farewell from Pip and Vesper, asking them to make sure to come back soon, they exit the Arboretum, stepping back onto the semicircular patio and heading west through the double doors toward the foyer. And they approach the central staircase leading to the upper level. They all pause to look up the staircase. The mansion remains eerily quiet. The only sound is the soft thud of their boots and the hardwood floors and the occasional creak of the floorboards. Caelum starts off as they're all looking up the stairs. He says, "Well, the homunculi were pretty clear. They don't really venture out of the kitchen and the dining room as much, so whatever is up those stairs belongs to Fistandia. Matreus might be there, hopefully, but I think it is smart to investigate the upper floors first." And Nax says, "That is a good plan, Caelum. We are still several characters short of a complete thought with the letters from the spines of the books that we are looking for. And a wizard's private laboratory or bedroom is a likely place to find the remaining tomes." And as they start making their way up, Celestine just also says, "They call the upstairs organized, so I just hope that means Fistandia's research is easy to read and, well, easy to look through." Caelum says, "We'll find out soon enough. Stay close." And Axe, you're in the middle. And they go up the stairs. It's nothing grand. It's just one level up. And their eyes catch the glint of a suit of armor standing guard at the top of the stairs, its long sword pointed toward the floor in a silent, eternal vigil. Caelum pauses at the top of the stairs, his eyes immediately tracking from the sword to the ceiling. He says, "The sword is real, even if the soldier isn't. Stay clear of the swing radius, just in case Fistandia had a sense of humor about her security." And as Nax sees him looking above this suit of armor, Nax remarks, "Oh, a trapdoor. It opens upward, it seems. That must lead to an attic of sorts, or a crawl space at least." And Caelum finally looks away from this trapdoor, and he says, "Let's stick to the plan. We aren't climbing into a dusty attic until we've cleared this floor." So they are at sort of a crossroads. To the west is a set of heavy double doors, and to the east is a smaller door with a long shadowed hallway stretching out, lined with several closed doors. Which way will they go? Let us roll some dice. Having 3 sets of dice now makes it so fun because they can just assign a set to a character. Oh my god, what the hell? So I rolled 3 d6s and they're all 5. All of them 5 facing up. I wish I could have caught this in video. Anyway, so they're all doing the obvious, which is to go west because it's the larger double door. And also, not to metagame, but I can't help it. I'm doing all the characters. I still follow the dice though. It is 5. Heading west is good because it is in the numerical order of the map. So we're going from M10 the stairs to M11. First room on the left. All right. So Caelum eyes that heavy double doors to the west. And in his experience, double doors usually lead to a great hall or the heart of the wing, a primary workspace. So he's thinking maybe Matreus, if he was on this floor, he likely went for the most significant room. And Celestine follows Caelum as he moves to the direction of this double doors. Nax and Celestine, they both follow him. They trust his sense of direction, and they agree that it looks important. And they're both also curious to what grand hall or main room could lie beyond these double doors. And if they were to find a book with a gilded letter on its spine, it has to be in this room. One of them has to be in this room. Okay, they head west. Caelum's in the lead, and he just opens the door normally, but he is still alert. As the iron-bound oak doors swing wide, they are greeted by a scene of scholarly chaos. The room is long and filled with heavy wooden tables that has these glass vessels, measuring devices, and various scientific apparatus on top of it. There are cabinets with glass doors that line the walls. They are packed with a fascinating array of specimens, bleached skulls, jars of creatures floating in clear liquid, and rocks that pulse with a faint rhythm. As they look up, they can see a series of colorful glowing globes, circling each other near the ceiling in an intricate silent dance. And on the far wall, there's a massive map of the night sky, featuring thousands of labeled stars and a prominent golden sunburst centered over a closed door at the back of the room. And Nax gets really excited. He exclaims, "Incredible! There's a ton of research material in here. And look there among the beakers." And Celestine, slightly worried about Nax, says, "Well, be careful what you touch, Nax. Remember the mimic. We don't want a repeat of that." And no roll necessary. It is pretty obvious, and the group is looking for it clearly. They see that on the middle table, resting next to a stack of charts, is a heavy tome with a familiar gilded spine. It bears the letter T. And Nax rushes to this book to claim this specific tome, gilded tome. Nax quickly tucks this volume into his satchel. He says, "Well, that's 3. Hopefully there aren't much more books that we have to collect." Celestine walks towards the massive wall map, and her gaze is caught by the way the light hits the far wall. She says, "The whole room seems to point this way. Look at these 5 stars on the map. They really stand out against the rest of the sky." And Caelum steps up beside her and nods towards the door that is positioned directly beneath the golden sunburst. He says, "And that door isn't even locked. If she went through all the trouble to paint a sunburst over it, we might as well see where it leads. Stay close." And he pushes the door open. One moment they're in a laboratory, the next they're standing on a soft grassy knoll under a sky so thick with stars it feels like the heavens have descended to meet them. The air is cool and smells of clover and damp earth, and there are 5 heavy brass telescopes and pedestals that are arranged in a circle around a clear crystal ball that sits in a brass stand. Celestine blinks as her boots sink into the illusionary turf. She says, "I can actually smell the grass. It feels like we're back in the seaward on a clear night." Caelum says, "It's a convincing trick. Let's take a look at these telescopes. I have a feeling they're related to that sunburst mural we saw in the other room." And Nax says, "Exactly. Maybe we should fiddle with these. I suspect the lady of the house has another secret in store for us." Okay, so we're just going to simplify this next part because rules as written on the book, it's not really a detailed puzzle, it's more of a narrative puzzle that they have to figure out. So we're just going to make a series of rolls, and I do want them to solve it. So if they fail, they're just going to have to face a penalty for essentially failing forward. So seeing as Caelum is the strongest stats-wise, and maybe it might be obvious, because both Nax and Celestine have 8 strength, and that is a -1 modifier. So Caelum will volunteer to move the telescopes once Nax tried to move it and he couldn't. And he'll just say, "Nax, you can go back to that map and call it out. Make sure to communicate it clearly, okay? Celestine, you can help him, or you can help move if you can, but don't hurt yourself." And Nax is already scuttling back through the door. He says, Of course. I shall do my best to guide you. Don't move the pedestals until I give the word." And from the next room, Nax's voice echoes through the doorway, calling out the constellations with precision. And Caelum heaves against the first pedestal. It is quite heavy, as it has not moved in years, so the gears sort of scream in protest. Let us make him, I guess, athletics check with advantage. That would make sense if he's trying to move them. And we'll do some other skill checks in a bit. So obviously the help is they're all solving the puzzle. So surely you will succeed. Let's just do a DC 10. God, that my other dice fell. Hang on. Okay, so the one that stayed on the table is a 9, and he has a strength modifier. So let's see if he... Oh, that's an 11, so he does succeed. And he forces the telescope into position, saying, "Okay, what's the next one?" And now we'll have Nax do the check. He is back in the laboratory area, staring at the massive star map, where there are 5 prominent stars that are polished into blazing silver suns. And I will have him give me an investigation check to see how accurately he communicates and translates those celestial coordinates into instructions for Caelum. So, advantage because they're all helping each other. Please don't fall again. Ooh, that is a fail. On the dice, it's a nat 1 and a 5. So he has +3 to intelligence, but that doesn't make our DC 10. So, he maybe makes a mistake and wasn't clear enough for one of the instructions. And we'll resolve the penalty later. Last check for Celestine. Or I think, okay, maybe Nax was hurrying, or in his haste to be precise, he misreads some of the constellations and ends up giving Caelum the wrong coordinates. And as Caelum grips the heavy brass, his boots sliding in the illusionary grass, he says, Nax, it doesn't feel right. The gears are not moving. And he puts his weight into it because Nax says, that's what it says on the map, Caelum. And Caelum tries to force it. There's a sickening crunch from the mechanical parts, and a beam of starlight hits the central crystal ball at a jagged, unstable angle. And instead of a clean refraction, the light begins to pool into a purple haze that sends tremors through the glassy floor. And now Celestine, noticing this, and noticing the misalignment that has been created, resulting in a dangerous buildup of arcane, static. I will have her make a wisdom check, like a perception maybe, the advantage. Okay, that is at 14 and 18, which passes. And she knows that if this light isn't focused correctly in the next few seconds, there will be a more harmful discharge of energy. So she spots the exact point that Nax was referring to, or failed to communicate clearly on his part, and helps Caelum guide the last telescope, to fix the beam. The beams snap into a single needle-thin point, and the western wall grinds aside, revealing another area. But because of Nax's failure, this beam that was not hit correctly will cause a flare, and Caelum will take a 1d6 radiant damage. But let me see, is he sort of... I know Celestine is resistant. Yep, okay, Celestine is resistant to radiant damage, but not Caelum. So he takes, where's my d6? 3 radiant damage because of the failure on Nax's skill check. And he's also blinded for a minute, which they're not in combat, so it doesn't really hold that much significance in game. They can just wait it out, but that is part of the consequence because this light refraction hits his eyes or something. Caelum stands perfectly still, slightly raising his shield as a reaction, his eyes wide and clouded by silver spots. He says, hold on, nobody move. And Celestine moves to his side, her hand reaching out to steady him, as she peers into the opening that resulted from solving this whole puzzle. She says, Caelum, the wall moved. There's another room back there. It's quite small. And Caelum lets out a sigh. He says, currently the only thing I can see is a giant purple smudge where your face should be. I cannot see a thing. And Nax comes back from the other room, looking a little bit guilty because of his miscommunication. He says, well, I'm sure it's just temporary. I do apologize for that little mistake. I can assure you, it doesn't seem like this is a permanent effect. Again, my apologies. And Caelum tries to blink slowly. He tries to clear his vision. He says, it's quite all right, Nax. What can you see through that door? Don't move. Let's wait until my eyesight goes back to normal. And Celestine answers, it's hard to tell from the doorway. I see shelves, but I can't see much from here. Don't worry, we'll wait for you. And for a minute, they wait in the cool illusionary grass of the planetarium, and the purple spots in Caelum's vision slowly fade into the dim light of the mansion. As his sight returns, they approach the newly opened entryway. They smell a little bit of iron scent, and it becomes sharper as they approach. The room seems cramped from where they are standing. They can see only a plain wooden bench, a reading desk, and several shelves of books wrapped in chains. And they seem to be shackled to the wood. Caelum, still blinking to clear the remaining spots from his vision, says, right, I'm going in first. If those chains so much as twitch, stay in the hallway. And Celestine's just watching carefully, saying to both of her companions, be careful what you touch. And Nax, with his tail twitching, says, yes, I shall remain here and provide support if needed. And I'm gonna make a group investigate check. So that's just everyone. And then let's see the midpoint. Okay, 8 plus 3 is 11. So they do see. Celestine spots the book with a gilded spine containing the letter L. It's on the desk as if it was placed for visibility. It's not on the shelves with the chained books. She moves to stop Caelum from advancing as she points towards the center of the room and says, Caelum, wait, look right there. There's a book sitting by itself on that desk. It's not chained down like the others. There's a glint. I think it's the gilding on the spine, a golden L. That should be one of the books we need. Nax peers over her shoulder as he spots it because, Celestine pointed it out. Oh, she's right. It's perfectly accessible. It's not chained unlike the other books there. Caelum says, of course it is. It's sitting there like a trophy. Nax, get behind me. If that book is the bait, I'm the one who's going to spring the trap. Hang on, I thought of something. I would like Celestine to give me either an investigate or a wisdom check. Oh, flat wisdom she's not the best at, but her investigate she is proficient in. I'll have her do another investigate check for a whole separate thing, and I'll tell you after this roll with advantage. Okay, that is an 11 plus 3, 14. It's above a 12. That should be enough for her to say to her two companions, we're fortunate that the spine is facing outwards. Maybe we don't have to grab it at all. We just need to remember the letter L. Don't forget, otherwise we'll have to go back up here. Let's go find the other books, shall we? Or, unless you're hell-bent on getting it, I suppose. As long as everyone can see an L, that's good enough for me. And Caelum lowers his shield slightly and says, rational observation. Alright, I definitely see an L. Nax stares at not just the book, at the whole shelf, sort of lamenting the fact that they couldn't examine all the other chained books. He says, oh, it's a shame we wouldn't be able to see why these books are chained in the first place, but yes, I do see an L, gilded, uppercase, and positioned with a very specific intent, it seems. And while my professional curiosity is piqued by Fistania's rare tomes, my self-preservation is currently screaming louder, so let's make a note of the letter and head back towards the other side of the wing. And Caelum nods once. Smart. Let's get out of here. And remember, letter L. Shouldn't be that difficult to remember. And then they back away from the threshold, the iron shackles falling silent as they make their way through the planetarium, through the laboratory, and back at the hallway. And I swear this isn't just me trying to speed things up because we're spending more time than I expected with this adventure. But it just makes sense. Although it wasn't stated in what orientation the book was placed, whether the spine is facing out, they don't really need the physical book. They just need the letters and then say the word near the foyer. But whatever. I mean, it makes sense to me. So moving on. So they are back at the top of the staircase in right by the suit of armor. Ahead of them is the eastern wing of the upper floor, and just through the heavy oak doors, they catch the scent of old leather and cedar. They keep their formation with Caelum in the lead, Nax in the middle, and Celestine following along, and Caelum pushes the door open slowly, his eyes scanning the room, checking the corners for movement, and Celestine can see past Nax and Caelum. She says, it looks cozy, remarkably normal, almost too normal. Oh, what lovely scarlet armchairs. And Nax also have, at this point, having made all of them have made their way inside the room. Nax says, Fistania's personal parlor, I suspect, but it's not warm. That fire may be a complete illusion. It's too perfect as well, but not warm. And they step inside the trophy room. The room is a pleasant parlor with a scarlet armchair in each corner and reading tables piled high with books. Mounted on the walls are the heads of a stag, a wolf, a Paladin, which I had to look up how to say and what it is because it's my first time encountering this. It's fun. It's a cross between a deer and a bird of prey. So, upper part of a deer with its antlers. It's like a stag, but with the hind legs and the wings and the some feathers of a bird of prey. So that's interesting. And along with them, a hellhound, as well as a small black dragon wormling. So the heads of these are mounted on the walls. Above the fireplace, a pair of gleaming swords rests in a rack, and the room is bathed in the flickering, silent, orange light of the earth. Celestine says, "Oh, this is so much better. It actually feels like a home in here. And look at these comfy chairs. I could stay here all afternoon if we weren't on a deadline." And Nax looks up at the mounted animal heads, and he says, "Festandia's memoirs mentioned she was a student of natural philosophy, but seeing these specimens, she was clearly quite skilled with more than just a quill. These are in remarkable condition." And as they're looking around the room, Celestine spots the book. It's quite obvious. It's on the central table. And she walks towards it, smiling, happy with herself, happy with the progress that they've made for the past hour. And she says, "Oh, there it is. It's, what is it?" She picks it up. It's right next to the armchair. It's the Y volume, as she finally sees it, because she picked it up to sort of get a closer look and to turn it around. But as she does so, the cozy silence of the room is cut by a sharp creak from above the mantel. The two gleaming swords resting in the rack above the fireplace begin to vibrate, and they slide forward, hovering in the air for a split second before snapping into a guard position and whistling through the air towards Celestine. And that's where we'll pick up next time. And hopefully next time we do end up finishing this. I know I said that last time, but we're more than halfway there, guys. Don't worry, we'll finish it surely in the next episode. I miss Senna. I wonder what she's up to. Alright, I'll see you soon. I'll try, okay? I'll try to record more of these. I know I haven't been in a regular schedule, so to speak, but I'll try to record more often with like less than an hour episodes, because obviously those 1 hour and 30-minute episodes take much longer to record, and I don't record in one sitting. I chop it up throughout the week as well. So yeah, just like a bit of background why this took so long. I think this adventure is just quite difficult actually to run solo, because you're just not surprised at all. So I'm having them encounter or do most of the combat, except for the chained library. It just made sense to me that they didn't need to approach it because it looks menacing. If you actually see the photo in the book, it looks quite menacing. But for the trophy room, there was still, again, no reason for them to assume otherwise, because it's a cozy room and it's a book. You would pick it up. So this felt justified, and I swear I wasn't trying to shorten the encounter. Anyway, we'll pick up with the battle in the next episode of Alonesy.